Hello and welcome back to Spotlight on Eventing. We have so many events to talk about this week. Tetworth Horse Trials, the new and upcoming exciting event that's been added to the BE calendar, along with Larkhill Horse Trials, were both on last weekend. And we also have some exciting events to look forward to. Burnham Market, the 4-star class with some of our riders having their final run before they head to Badminton. And also the first of our 5 stars this year, that being Adelaide. And we will take a look at the entries list for there too. This episode is brought to you by British Eventing and Veradus. Let's start by taking a look back at Tetworth. And I was lucky enough to be there and take a look around the cross-country course, and what a fantastic course it was. One of the questions that really stood out for me was 19 ABC. Towards the end of the course, a big box running on a corner line, curving line to 2 angled shoulder brushes. We see it here in the CrossCountry app, but a combination that I know very much rewarded forward riding. Alongside this, the water jump was also a fantastic question, a event sponsored by Henry James, the title sponsors at Tetworth, and again a big bold log drop in and out over 2 shoulder brushes, one left-handed shoulder onto a right-handed shoulder in the intermediate in particular, both of which caused, I think, a few problems, but in general rode well. And I was lucky enough to catch up with Dom Moore, the cross-country course builder, to hear all about not only what they built this week, but what their plans are for the future and the October event, and how Tetworth is working as a new event in their calendar. Dom, how've the last few days been?
To be fair, we've had a great few days. It's been quite dry this year for April, which is obviously quite unusual, but the ground was all tested at the start of the week and came up really amazingly well on the testing. We've had a great 2 and a bit days of competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking forward, say, to October, will the track be looking to run a different way round? Will you be keeping it relatively similar? How do you change it up when you've got sort of 2 events in the same year?
So I probably ought to be careful here because I haven't even spoken to Andy about October.
Yeah.
So
Be careful.
Sell it. So I could sit here and say we're going to turn the whole thing around, and I'll say that we're going to build a whole new course.
And Andy will have a shock.
And Richard will have to get his checkbook out. But no, I think in reality, I think we'll probably run a similar route. It works incredibly well here because it picks up for quite a flat site.
Yes.
It's got loads of features.
Yeah. Like the quarry is amazing,
like
and Sunken Road and everything. Yeah, really
and
cool.
The quarry at the back there, and there's future plans to develop the final hollow or quarry more. And also to develop, there's a small quarry in the corner there as well.
Oh, brilliant.
So it actually comes up for a flat site, quite terrainy.
Yes.
But those short, sort of intense bits of terrain, which is cool. So I think probably, in reality, for October, we'll run a similar route, but completely change up the whole course, as in fences, combinations, everything else. But we'll see, because I haven't had that practice.
Exactly as Dom said, and something I very much agree with was just how much the course encouraged forward riding. Yet all of the jumps were so easy for the horses to read, and I think that's exactly what we look at when we head to the likes of Bramham later on in the year. Big, bold jumping efforts that require forward riding, and so great that Tetworth had the opportunity as a spring event to encourage riders to ride in that way. Not only did I get to speak to Dom, but the other person I got to speak to was Richard Jones, who is now the organiser of Tetworth. A new role for Richard, who obviously has ridden at the 5-star level, but he's taken on the organiser's role at Tetworth. And it was great to hear from him as well about this new role and what maybe he had not anticipated and what he was excited for within this role at Tetworth. So You know, how do you feel about being an organiser, and has it lived up to your expectations? Has it been different to what you thought? What would be your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. There's a lot of challenges to it, without a doubt. But the kind of most exciting thing is just seeing so many people are having a great day, and they're just enjoying themselves. And that's everybody from like the top pros we've had, from Gemma Stevens, you know, all the way down to the kids doing their first event, and all the amateur people, and they're just here having a great day in a relaxed environment. And it's really fantastic. The estate staff, everybody is really kind of buying into it, and it's actually a really good feeling from my point of view to see that. And we've created it. That's really exciting.
Yeah, and we've been speaking to people, and you know, they've all been very happy and very much enjoying their day out. I do definitely think we underestimate how much goes on behind the scenes to get all of these events up and running, and Richard and his team are doing a fab job, and it really was a brilliant event. And a brilliant event also for a few riders and horse combinations that we were excited to see there. One of those being Piggy March and MCS Maverick. They're back out. They took the win in one of the open intermediate sections on the Friday. And I would imagine Piggy may be aiming either for a spring 5-star, but maybe also Bramham later on in the year as well. Kitty King and Vendredi Byatt were back out, and although they were a bit further down the leaderboard, they actually had the leading dressage score in the other open intermediate section and jumped a double clear, but were steady, so picked up some time penalties. But with an early run under their belt, I think we will be seeing this combination putting in some good performances later on in the year, as we know they can. Larkhill, the other British eventing event on this weekend, and an event that had loads of under 18 classes, but also a pony trial. And we see these pony trial riders, under 16 riders, contesting in these pony trial classes. They will soon head to Kelsall Hill for the pony 2-star in a few weeks' time, but they're trying to get some good runs under their belt and get their eye in front of the selectors. The winner of that class was Matilda Alexander and Cloughley Hillbilly. They actually put up the best dressage in the section and managed to keep that score at the top of the leaderboard, jumping double clear. So they will be delighted to have a good run there. And another rider that put in a good performance, finishing in second place, was Daisy Fulton and Max Boy. They actually climbed the leaderboard quite significantly with a 35 dressage, but they managed to jump clear and inside the time cross country, ending in second place. As we look at the CrossCountry App at this pony trial course, one of the testing fences came at 7 ABC, the Fawcett's rail step triple bar combination. And I'm sure riders will have been working really hard to get their training in over the likes of fences like this early on in the year. But if you head over to the Be Prepared website, Katie Williams talks all about navigating steps, particularly at the start of your season. Burnham Market this weekend, another of our 4-star short competitions, and a competition that we will see some of our badminton goers having their final prep runs. A much smaller section this year in the 4-star. Quite often we've seen 2 full sections of 4-star horses. This year, just the 64 entries. But some of those entries that we cannot wait to see have to be our 2 injured riders that are coming back in Emily King and Valmy Biatz, and also Laura Collett and Bling. And they're going to be testing out to see whether they are feeling tip-top before heading to Badminton in a few weeks' time. Another rider that is heading to Badminton is Katie McGee and Trewara, and that's a horse that's so phenomenal cross country, so they'll be looking for a good prep run. And a horse I think we could see really challenging up in the top 10 at Badminton if they can post a good cross country round like we know they can. Talking of the badminton entries list, there have been a couple of updates which I think are important news. One of those being in the withdrawal of Austin O'Connor and Colorado Blue. Not what we were expecting at all, so we will wait to hear if they put a statement out as to why they have withdrawn or where they may be heading instead. But a huge blow for Austin and his team, and I'm sure they'll be wanting to make sure Salty is fighting fit for a later performance throughout the year. And Susie Berry, a rider that actually took a fall at Thoresby in the 4-star class, actually managed to break her ribs on that occasion with her ride Clever Trick, who is the ride that she'll head to Badminton. So I spoke to Susie at Tetworth, who said that she'll be making the trip to Kelsall Hill to get that quick prep run in before they head to Badminton. The only 5-star in the Southern Hemisphere, and that being Adelaide. That is going on this weekend. But a rider I'm really excited to watch on Horse and Country jump around the 5-star is Oliver Barrett, a rider who is just 22 years old. He's actually got 2 horses in the field there. So he will be a really exciting Australian team rider in the future, I'm sure. And it will be great for him to get his first 5-star under his belt. And another rider we know can be so competitive at the very top of the sport is Shane Rose. And he's already had a win this year. That was at Cranberra in the 4-star short earlier on. So I'm sure he'll be looking to put a good performance in the 5-star. But if everybody wants to go and watch over on Horse and Country, watch the 5-star unfold. I'm sure it is set to be a great competition. The 2026 Oceania Eventing Championships will also be held at the Adelaide Equestrian Festival. The competition featuring Australian and New Zealand teams, including a senior CCI 4-star short championship and a young rider 3-star long championships, with the latter now open to riders under 25 as well. You can watch the action from Adelaide over on Horse and Country. That's all from me this week. And thank you once again to British Eventing and Varaidas for their continued support. I can't wait to be back next week to see what happened at Adelaide and at Burnham Market, and look forward to the events to come.